Oh my goodness. I have never been live on YouTube before in my life. And yet, welcome people. It is 6:01 Eastern Standard Time. It is time for yet another episode of Talkin with Thénardier. I am Jimmy Smagula. I play Thénardier on the Broadway National Tour of Les Mis. This is my once a week interview show where we talk about all things Les Mis with different guests from our Les Mis tour and beyond. Soon it will be beyond our tour. But I'm so excited to be on YouTube. You know, we've been doing this on Instagram and we've had an incredible reaction from all of our fans, which has been great. And it's been getting more and more difficult on Instagram to do this just because everyone's starting to do live videos. I mean, I just watched Julia Louis-Dreyfus this past week do a live Instagram, and she was like, am I frozen? Can you hear me? Am I frozen? And it's like, you know, it's hard because everyone's doing them. So I feel like the connectivity of Instagram is like fading away. And so we're all just frozen, and I would be talking to people and then they'd just be frozen in a circle. So I was like, what could we do? How can we fix this for our fans? And frankly, for my own sanity as the host, to make this a better experience, a smoother experience, and also be able to save these interviews for you guys to come back and watch later. So this is, as you can see by that little emblem, powered by an app called StreamYard. It's weird because everything's opposite when I look at it. It's like a weird mirror, but it's powered by StreamYard. That little thing tells you that we haven't paid for the StreamYard. This is a free, but still, it's great. And you know, I said to my friend, who's one of our stage managers in Les Mis, maybe you could help us. Do you want to like maybe run it and be the director and tell us what to do and all this stuff? And she said yes. And so I just want to bring her on quickly. She's actually also my second guest today, but I need to bring her on here in the beginning. Jess, come on in. Here she is, Jess Gouker. I mean, look, she just comes right on, and then she's right there. How are you? And I can wait for like,
I'm good. I'm going to know this way.
It's the other way. I know, it's very weird. But then you can just bring her on, and it's like it's so professional. You could see her name is Jess, and here we are. Did you have I mean, we tried to get this on Zoom, and it didn't work out. We couldn't figure out how to do it on Zoom, and then we found this StreamYard, and this has been incredible. You guys can comment as we're going. I can see some of your comments here from Reed and Miss Jess and someone named Andra Ross. Thank you, Andra Ross. And then she can put them up from Miss Jess says, yay. Hi, Miss Jess.
Hi, Miss Jess.
I miss you. Miss Jess is our tutor on tour, our touring tutor and chaperone for the kids. Oh my God, God bless her. But Jess, I just wanted to say thank you for stepping up to the plate.
You're welcome.
You learned this so quickly, and it's so much fun, and I'm super excited that that you're here with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Now I'm going to bring you back later so we can talk all things stage management.
Sounds great. I'm going to take myself out of here.
All right, take yourself out. Bye. Watch this. Whoop. And then she goes. And by the way, I can have like 4 or 5 people on here at once now. It's incredible. Well, it's been a week. I've been practicing the piano. I've been walking my dog and watering my plants. That's pretty much all I do. There's really not a lot else to do. I've been watching 90 Day Fiancé, which I enjoy because I can't believe how insane those people are on both sides of the coin. It's just the best show on TV. If you haven't watched it, check it out on Hulu. But I want to get to our first guest today because she is one of my faves. She is definitely a cast favorite, and she's an audience favorite, by the way. She was in The Color Purple on Broadway. She was in Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway. She was in something else on Broadway, and she is an original company member of Les Mis tour who left and now has come back to us. Bring her on in, Miss Phoenix Best. Oh, Phoenix. Here she comes, people. Watch this. Is she coming in? Now, I just did this whole thing about how great our stage manager is. I just did a whole spiel about how great Jess Gouker is at this, and thank you so much for helping. Where is Phoenix? Phoenix, are you there? Well, Let me tell you about Phoenix. If she was here, she'd be telling you that she loves being in Les Mis. And she really is an incredible epony. And she's been with the show from the beginning. And I know a little bit about her kind of journey into Les Mis, which is that she auditioned many, many times. You know, I was a replacement. So I replaced J. Anthony Crane as Thénardier. So I had one audition. Here she comes. Oh my God. Thank God you arrived. I was launching into my own audition story. And I'm sweating.
That was funny.
Totally fine. You know, what are you going to do? Sometimes I just went on a whole, did you hear my whole spiel about Jess Gouker? Jess, you're in.
You should be good to go. I'm going to go now. It's going to be great. Have fun.
Okay, I've recovered. I'm going to take a sip of water.
Okay, good. I got nervous.
We're okay.
But I kept
Me
being
too.
like,
Now-
I'm backstage, I'm backstage.
Was Jess with you in the backstage room, or what happened?
No,
I
I'm
wonder
like
what
by
happened.
myself in the backstage room and I can watch you, like watch the live video, but
Oh,
I
we're
can't
going to
like
find
put myself
out.
into it.
Yeah. Well, Phoenix, hi.
Hi.
You look incredible. Thank you
Thank you.
for doing
I
some
did a little
hair,
soft glam.
some beat. You're giving
Yeah,
me some
I'll probably
off
take
the
photos
shoulder.
later.
You
Little
better
clavicle.
get back on that
Clavicle
Instagram. Did you
I
take a
know.
pause from Instagram?
I did. I took like I didn't announce it or anything because if I'm gonna take a break, why do I need to tell everybody kind of thing?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just kind of like stopped and I left for like 2.5 weeks. And then I came back because I was doing a different thing. I was doing the quarantine cabaret with Rachel Potter.
Oh,
And
fun.
yeah, it was really fun. So I like came back to promote that. And then I've been on and off. I try as much as possible to just like stay away from social media if I can.
Well, it's interesting during this time, everybody's kind of coping in different ways. I find that I want to post more things on social media than I usually have before. So I don't know, in a way, I think it helps me like stay connected with people. But other people are like, I'm shutting everything down. I'm just going to be with myself. I know that you are in Philly right now, which is where you grew up.
Yes.
And are you in the house that you actually grew up in?
I am not. My mom moved to Lansdale when I moved to New York. So she moved out here with my sister. It's a little closer to where I used to go to school and where my sister currently goes to school and her new job. So it was like, oh, Phoenix is moving to New York. We're moving to Lansdale.
That's great. And is your sister younger than you?
She is. My sister is like a little less than 6 years younger than me.
Oh, wow. Now, do you guys, it seems like you get along. I have a brother who's 5 years younger than me, and we get along now. But as kids, younger, like we didn't have a lot in common. We didn't have the same friends because we're 5 years apart. So did you find that as well with your sister?
Oh, definitely. We fought all the time, like all the time. I mean, we've always been like a very close family, no matter how much we fought. But she's definitely my best friend. And she's honestly like the biggest reason that this quarantine, I have not gone crazy. Like she's been my biggest support during this whole experience.
Yes. The little bit that I see you post on Instagram, you're like almost always with your sister during a workout or something.
Yeah, we go on a daily walk, or I can't say daily because it's not every single day, but if it's not raining or if it's like a nice day outside, we go for walks. We usually go for like, on a good day, we'll go for like a 5 to 6 mile walk. And then on like a casual day, like today, we went on a 2-mile walk.
Now, when you do 5 or 6 miles, are you like really walking or are you just like walking normal?
No, we just take our time. I think the longest time period it was like a 6-mile walk was about an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
And we just like walk around the neighborhood.
And do you wear a mask when you do that, or you feel like when you're outside you don't need to do that?
It depends, but honestly, we haven't, only because of where we live. We don't come in contact with anyone. If I was in New York, it'd be a totally different thing, or if I lived in Philly. But I think I see, like today on our walk, we saw about 3 people on the whole walk. And then if we see someone, we just ended up crossing the street.
Exactly.
So that we're not like close to them at all.
So you grew up in Philly. Did you go to public school for like kindergarten through 8th grade, high school? Did you go to private school? You went to private school?
Yes, I went to private Christian school my whole life.
Wow.
Yes.
So were you active in like singing, acting, dancing? Did you play instruments? Like, how did the whole love for performing, musical theater, how did that all happen for you?
Yeah, my family is kind of like a family of singers on my grandma's side. She and all her brothers and sisters sing. And so I
Mhm.
kind of got into that in church. And then I started playing piano when I was 4.5. And so
Oh.
I kind of fell in love with music that way. But I actually didn't dance until I went to college. So that's where I
Uh-huh.
learned that aspect of theater specifically,
Yes.
because I realized like you need to have that skill in your back pocket, just a little bit at least. So
Yes.
I've
Yes.
always been singing though. I have been singing since like I could talk pretty much. Like
And
I would use anything as a microphone.
when you got to high school, did you do musicals in your high school, like full musicals? Like
Yeah.
what shows did you do and what roles did you play?
My first musical in high school was Susical the Musical, and I was a who.
See, we need a video. That would be
Oh
incredible to see.
no.
I would love to see
Oh no.
that.
But my high school wasn't like all the other high schools out there who have like fly rails and an orchestra. Like we used pre-recorded tracks that somebody
Yeah.
played from the sound booth. But I loved it. Like I didn't know anything else, so I loved
Yeah.
my pre-recorded tracks, and I still love them today. To be completely honest.
What were the other shows and roles that you did in high school that you can remember?
um, my favorite one, which was my senior year of high school, we did Aida, and I played Aida, which is like
Oh,
one of my favorite things. So that was the show that I was like, okay, I definitely want to do this as a career. I definitely want to sing and dance and act and do all of them together, do all of them separately. Like I want to do this.
now
Yeah.
had Aida the show come out yet when you did it? I guess so, right? It obviously did because you were
Oh
doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So you had the recording and everything. You
Oh,
see
we
where I'm
had the
going with
pre.
this?
Jimmy.
Now listen, people. I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something that I discovered about Phoenix.
Oh gosh.
Phoenix does, I think, the best Heather Headley
No,
impression
I am not doing
that
it
I have
here.
ever done. Phoenix,
No.
just do. Now, here's the thing, but wait. I want to convince you because here's what I want to convince you. You have done it for her, and she loves it, Heather Headley, and she kind of like, in a way, I would say she's given you her blessing
I
to
don't know
be able
about
to do
that,
it. Could you just
but
just do all I have to do is pretend I never knew him? That's it. 2 bars, not even 2
oh
bars. Yeah,
my
2
gosh.
bars. Come on.
I
Just
did not get
listen
on
to
here
Heather.
to sing, Jimmy.
I know, just
Um,
an impression.
oh gosh, now that I'm on the spot, I'm like nervous.
Oh no, it's so
All I
good.
have to do is forget how much I love him. All I have
It's
to
so good.
do. That's not the best version because I'm nervous.
Oh, it's so good, you guys. All right. So you do Aida in high school, a senior
Yes.
year. You're playing Aida. So did you start auditioning for colleges, or what happened? How did you get? Because you went to University of the Arts in Philly, right?
No. I went to DeSales University
Oh my God,
in
I'm completely wrong.
Center Valley. Well, my mom worked downtown, and U of Art's dance department, like one of their studios was right above my mom's job. And
Mhm.
so I always thought, and I thought that like I might go to a school in Philly, might go to U Arts, might go to Temple, but I ended up only applying to 2 schools, and I applied to Rider University and DeSales University.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
and
you
I went
went to
for musical
DeSales.
theater.
So you were a musical theater major. And
hmm
what shows did you do there?
I ended up doing all like the big musicals. So of course they have their whole season, and then the big musical is the last thing. So I did all 4 of the big musicals, and then I did. They like had another musical. They did Little Women at one point. I was the understudy for Joe, and I went on for Joe once. But my biggest like claim to fame, I guess, at DeSales University is we did Chicago my sophomore year of college, and I played Velma Kelly. And
Nice.
I was just a sophomore, and I got like one of the lead roles, so that was like absolutely insane.
And you were dancing in that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, that was like the coolest experience. We had our choreographer was Lynn Mariani, who worked with Bob Fosse. And so she
Wow.
was like really great with the choreography and like just knew everything to a T. So it was so specific.
Yes.
And I think that was one of the experiences that kind of prepared me for where I am today.
That's incredible. So when you graduated from college, did you know that you were like, okay, as soon as I graduate, I'm going right to New York City? Did you have a showcase? Did you get an agent right away? Tell us a little bit about like that period of time.
Yes, I knew I always wanted to go to New York right away because I wanted to do musicals first. I've always wanted to do lots of things. Of course, like I want to do TV and movies and I want to put my own music out there, but I was like, theater's the first thing I want to focus on before trying to get everywhere else. I did have a showcase at my school. I had 4 meetings and I had 1 audition from the showcase, and I did not get an agent. I didn't sign with anyone. I got really close to signing with someone.
Isn't it hilarious? You've done all these jobs, incredible, iconic roles. Dear Evan Hansen, Color Purple, Les Mis. It just goes to show you that sometimes the way that you react to a failure or a rejection really shows who you are. You know, because we're all going to have rejection. We're all going to have these trials where it's like, I mean, I was very lucky that I got an agent from my showcase, and a great agent. They were my agent for many, many, many years, 11 years. And, but there were a lot of kids in my class who did not get agents. So I can only imagine what you were feeling while your classmates are like, woohoo, I signed with this person. Woohoo, I signed with this person.
Well, actually, I don't know if anyone signed with anyone. At my school, it's a very small school, and they only allow 12 seniors to be in the showcase out of your class. So that's only 12 people. I know someone who freelanced with someone. I'm not sure if they ended up signing with them, but I know that was their experience. But our school was really small, and I believe it was only like the 4th or 5th showcase my school had at that point. So, and we only had 1 showcase at the time. Now the school has 2 showcases. They have more opportunities for more people to see them. So it was really like that one maker. Getting the audition that I got an audition for the Book of Mormon, and just knowing that a casting director out there knew me and brought me in was like the biggest thing to me, even though I didn't sign with anyone. And I was like completely devastated that like the one place I wanted to sign with, it just didn't end up working out. But thinking about it today, like I am so glad that I am where I am and with the agents that I'm with, because this is the path I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah. So did you move then to New York, or were you like, I'm so close to New York that I could move home and save money and go in for auditions?
Yeah, my story is like a little bit crazy. So
Oh, please tell us.
I did move to New York, but post-graduation, DeSales University has a program through the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, which is housed on the campus of DeSales. And they take 12 interns for that program, and you do a children's show, you do 2 equity shows, and you do your own Shakespeare show. And I did that for 3 years. And so after my senior year,
you did all the shows.
Not all of them,
but almost all the shows.
Yeah, but at that point, I had, I believe, like 38 equity points. This is when you needed 50 to get it, or something like that, somewhere around there. And I was like, okay, I'm close, and I want to move to New York. And you end up working with actors from New York. And I had a bunch of people be like, you should move, you should move. And so in my last week of the program, I was like, I should just go audition for some random thing in New York. And they were having an open call for the understudy of Elphaba in Wicked. And I was like, you know what? It's on the Monday on the off day. Like, why not? And then I almost talked myself out of it. And then I ended up going. I got on a bus at like 7 a.m. to go to New York. I stood in line. I was number like 420 something that day.
Oh my God.
And long story short, over the course of that next week, I got down to the final 2 for the job.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like crazy when I found out I was in the final 2, because it was me and the other girl, her name's Hannah, and we were sitting there outside the dance studio because that was the last part of the audition. And we were like waiting for other girls to show up and nobody showed up. And Craig and Caesar show up and they're like, hey girls, are you ready? You can come on in. And we were like, where are the other girls? And at this point, like she's like in a Broadway. She was actually in Les Mis on Broadway at the time.
Oh,
and
wow.
had been in other Broadway shows. And I had just turned 21. I haven't even moved out of home. And it's like me and her. And I was just like, okay,
That's
cool.
amazing.
I'm not getting this job, but it's crazy. So I didn't get the job, of course. And then they were like, you need to move to New York. So I was like, there's got to be a way. And so I moved back home for about 8 days, and I had gotten another audition for something that I couldn't go to because I wasn't in New York. And then I was like, you just got to bite the bullet. You got to do it. And I moved to New York 8 days after being back home from college. And I moved in with my friends Marnie and Zach. They let me stay in their spare room, like on their air mattress.
Marnie and Zach.
Yeah, for the first week I was there. And I like got a job at Don't Tell Mama, and I was like, okay, I'm here in New York. Like, I'm gonna do it.
Oh my God, that is incredible.
Yeah, it was.
So
it was pretty cool.
Color Purple was your very first Broadway show, right?
Yes.
Also
yes,
cast by Craig Burns and Caesar, or Chelsea?
Just
also
Chelsea,
cast by
yeah.
Chelsea, right? Same company. So that's important for people who are trying to become Broadway actors or working actors, because you're not always auditioning for the job you think you're auditioning for. You might be auditioning for the job a year from now that you don't even know is coming, right? Tell us what that was like when you were in the original Broadway company of the Color Purple revival.
Yes.
So tell us what that was like. What was the process like rehearsing that for you?
Well, I didn't really have any other experiences of rehearsing anything other than the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. And it was, pretty similar. You go in, you have about a month of rehearsal, you do about a month of tech. The only thing that was different was like the preview process of it all. Because I was a swing in the show. So that was also something new for me. I had been an understudy, but I had never been a swing. And I was the assistant stage manager of the show.
Right. So you had the flashlights.
Yeah, that was something I ended up learning like way after I learned the show. They said I was more an actor, of course, than a stage manager. I was more just there as a backup when they didn't have anyone. But it was like a really crazy experience because all these Broadway stars, all these like celebrities are in the room, and like 21-year-old me who moved to New York a month ago is now in this room, and it was so crazy.
It's such a good experience to have as your first experience, I think, because immediately it's like, boom, you are right in the room, you are right there on the level of all those people, and you are learning something from everybody in the room. I often say, now I'm 44 years old, I've done a lot of work. So I always say, like, I never want to be the best or most accomplished person in a company. I always want to be learning something from someone who's more experienced than me, because that's how I've always learned my whole career. So that's like an incredible first experience. I want to jump ahead a little bit now to Dear Evan Hansen, because, well, actually next came Les Mis, right?
No, next came Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, next came Dear Evan Hansen. So
I did Dear Evan Hansen, Les Mis, Dear Evan Hansen, Les Mis.
Oh, I see. So was Color Purple closed when you got Dear Evan Hansen?
Yeah, Color Purple had been closed for a little while. It closed in January of 2017. And my first day at Dear Evan Hansen was in June of 2017.
So you went through auditions for Dear Evan Hansen. You replaced somebody in the show, right?
Not right away. Originally, I was the vacation cover for Alana for Dear Evan Hansen. Yeah, so Crystalline, who was playing Alana at the time, was going on vacation, and they only had one girl who covered both girls. And so they just wanted someone for those 2 weeks in case something happened to Laura, who played Zoe, because then Olivia, who was the understudy, was already on for Crystalline for that whole week. And then she would just switch to Zoe, and I would go on for Alana. And it was like worst case scenario. and
Right.
somehow the worst case scenario happened.
Always
and I ended up
does.
going on. Yeah, I was the
Always
first
does.
vacation cover that they ever had at the show. And it was just like, it was right after they won the Tonys too. So it was like,
Right.
it was insane.
Now, what was that process like as far as going in as a vacation cover and not having rehearsal with the whole company? You know what I mean? You're just coming in as a vacation swing. Yeah. Were you like, this is not as fun, or this is fun in a different way, or how was it different for you?
It was fun in a different way, but it was mainly fun in a different way because when I did Color Purple, I was the youngest by like 5 years. And with Dear Evan Hansen, it was a bunch of people my age. Right. And that was just like really cool to do a show about some like life that I had experienced, you know, being a high schooler and doing it with a bunch of people my age. And they were very, very welcoming too. Like good. I did it with the entire original cast, and I was really scared at first because I was like, they just won all these Tony Awards. Like, they're the cool kids, and I'm just this new girl who's walking in. Like, I promise you, like, the Tonys was Sunday, my first day was Tuesday. Like, that's how quick the turnaround was.
God. That's so intimidating.
It was great, honestly. Like, it was so welcoming, and it was so fun for those 2 weeks that I was there, and getting to say that I went on right after.
Incredible. So how did Les Mis come into your life? Did you get a phone call saying, hey, we have an audition for this new Les Mis tour that's going out, or what happened?
Yeah, I did a self-tape for my first audition for Les Mis so Color Purple closed in January. My first audition for Les Mis was in February through self-tape. And then I didn't hear anything for a little bit, and I had went and done a regional show. And then when I came back from the regional show, I ended up going in a lot for Les Mis. It was like going in for just the music and Corey, or just going in for Corey by himself, or just going in for music. And then it was a lot of work sessions where they were like, we want you to be like right on the nose with these things. And so I was doing the audition part of it, and then they'd be like, okay, can you come in for a work session and then another audition, and then can you come in for a music work session and then just an acting work session, and then we're going to put it together and do like a whole work session, and then you're going to come in again and do an audition. Like, I had maybe about like 9 auditions, like with work sessions for Les Mis between, I want to say, April to when I ended up booking Les Mis, which was, I booked Les Mis when I was in the theater, like, of Dear Evan Hansen. Like, I was at Dear Evan Hansen my first week when I found out. Yeah.
And so when you finally got the phone call that said you booked it, were you just over the moon? Because it's such, I know, like, those shows that I've had these long processes with, audition processes, like, also, it has worked the other way. Like, I had 7 auditions for the original company of Little Mermaid for the French chef, and then it was me and John Tracy Egan at the final callback. And I remember thinking, well, one of us is going to be the guy who gets it, and one of us is going to be the guy who doesn't get it. And I was the guy who didn't get it. Yeah. I wound up doing that role on Broadway for 10 weeks later on. But when you have a process like that and you finally book it, doesn't it just, it's like, oh my God, because all that work could have just been for no job.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. And when I found out, I was honestly so shocked, because I did have another job that I was supposed to do at that time. And when I found out, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I have to make a decision. Which one do I want to do? And I want to do both of them. And you can't do both of them. And so Les Mis was something I always wanted to do. I've always wanted to play Eponine. And, you know, in the end, it was kind of a no-brainer. And I was so happy that all the hard work I did had paid off. And they said yes to me. And then I was like, wait, they said yes. Now I'm scared for the rest of the process.
Oh my gosh. How was that rehearsal process? How was working on Eponine? What do you think, what was different? What did you discover about your character in rehearsal that was different than kind of the preconceived notion that maybe you had about her character, the character, Eponine?
I don't really know, because to be completely honest, in my work sessions and in my auditions, we talked so much about Eponine. And like, people don't really know this, but usually for auditions, you don't do everything that the character does. You do like the main juicy bits that they can see different sides of you. I felt like with Les Mis, I did every single song. So by the time I got into the rehearsal room, it was more elaborating off of what we had already built in the rehearsal room, and then adding Josh, and then adding really I interact with Josh the most out of everybody, but adding Jillian and working on the trio and working on like where we're all at in that moment more than anything, I think.
That's incredible. I have a question for you from the audience.
Oh, hello, audience.
This is from Heartful of Song. She says, Phoenix, what does it feel like to sing On My Own every night, since it's such an anticipated moment in the show? That's such a great question.
That is a really great question. And it feels surreal, to be completely honest.
What a great answer. That's a great answer.
It does feel surreal because, you know, we do it 8 times a week for however long. And at some points, you're tired. At some points, you know, you don't want to do everything. But then I get to that song and I think like, wow, I get to sing this song every single day. A song that like so many people want to sing or wish they sang, or even I wish I could have sang at one point. And so sometimes I get really emotional when I sing On My Own, because it kind of lets me know all my hard work paid off, and that all the dreams that I had are achievable, and the dreams that I still have for myself are achievable, and they will be real one day. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to end on that note because that was so beautiful.
Oh,
and
thank you.
It's very true. It's very true. We are the luckiest of the luckiest, really, to be able to do what we do for a living, and to do it with beautiful people for beautiful people in a show that has such an incredible message and such an incredible following. And we are the luckiest of the luckiest, really. And that's very inspiring. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Well, Phoenix, I love you.
I love you too.
I could talk to you all day, but it's already been a half hour.
Wow.
I know. I could talk to you all day. I love it.
Well, text.
Why don't we bring, I will. Why don't we bring in Jess Gouker? Keep Phoenix in here. Let's bring in Jess, my next guest.
Hi,
Look
Jimmy.
at this.
Hi,
Now, people,
we had a moment.
The background.
Jess, are you in a sauna? Are you taking a sauna? What is happening?
So we had a little Wi-Fi issue earlier because we're streaming from my house, which is terrible. Not great Wi-Fi. So I moved closer to the router. So my mom and I rearranged some furniture quickly for you.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry.
No problem.
You guys, wasn't that beautiful what she said?
That was
Jess,
beautiful. That's really
my God.
Thanks, guys.
I love listening On My Own. We're setting the barricade up behind you, but I know. Do it.
So for those of you who don't know, Jess Gouker is one of our stage managers. We have 3 stage managers on the Les Mis tour. Jess, what is your official? Is there a difference, like assistant or associate or anything like that?
Technically, I'm the first assistant stage manager, but I'm also billed as just stage manager. Jack's the boss; he's production stage manager, and then as the first, you become just the stage manager. But and then we have Joseph, who's our ASM.
So while Phoenix is singing beautifully and heartfelt and thinking about what an incredible life she has and how successful, Jess is backstage building the barricade and flashlights,
telling people to be quiet the whole time. Pretty much.
My God. Well, Phoenix, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks, Phoenix.
And we'll Zoom soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Phoenix. Oh my God, how good was she?
She's lovely. We love her.
She's fantastic.
She's so much fun.
Well, Jess, I'm so glad you're here.
Me too.
In addition to running these YouTube lives now, which you've agreed to do for the rest of our lives, because who knows how long we're going to do this, but I'm thrilled to do it. You are our first assistant. It's so much fun. You are our first assistant stage manager. So it's always interesting. Stage managers are fascinating to me because I never know how someone gets into it, and it takes a real certain kind of person who is very, very detailed and very disciplined to be a stage manager. So when you were a kid, I think you grew up in New Jersey, because that's where you are now, like me, Garden State.
Yes, sir.
Gets a bad rap. Gets a bad rap, New Jersey. I have to say, I enjoy the state.
I love it. It's beautiful.
I had a wonderful childhood. I had great teachers who inspired me to go into theater and make my life doing this in television and film acting. What's wrong with New Jersey?
Me too. I love New Jersey.
As a kid, did you want to act in theater? Did you see a lot of theater?
No, not really. I don't think I started. We went to like the high school musicals.
Yeah.
And my sister's 2 years older than me, and I would go because her friends were in it. And I started in high school, but not really before then. Maybe a little bit in middle school, but I didn't see we don't have a lot of theater around us.
I don't know a lot of like 14 or 15-year-olds that say, I want to be a stage manager. So I always wonder, like, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? When someone would say like, hey, little Jess Gouker, what do you want to be when you grow up? Did you say a stage manager?
No, I want to be a teacher. Yeah. We had like a classroom in our basement. We would like play school. Yeah.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah. For the longest time. I mean, even when I went into college, I
was just going to ask, where did you go to college and what did you major in?
Yeah, so I went to college at Ramapo College of New Jersey, which is a school. Yeah, liberal arts school.
I know Ramapo.
I know you do. Not many people do. But I had an incredibly smart drama teacher in high school. I took speech and drama class my first semester. And she I went to the meeting where it's like, if you want to be involved in the musical, which was the pajama game. She said, do you want to be my stage manager? And I was like, sure, like totally indifferent. And she she's one of my very best friends now, and I love her to death, and she's family. And she sort of said, I think you'd be good at it. And I said, okay. And here we are. 15
My earpiece totally just like that.
No.
Totally fell out. No, I can. So how do you go from college? So when you did that in college, were you like, oh my God, I love this. This is what I want to do immediately? Or did it take some more kind of cultivating?
I think it definitely took more time. So in high school, I really loved it. I did all the musicals. We did a lot of stuff. I was in the drama club, that kind of stuff. And then when it looked to go to college, I really liked Ramapo, and I knew I wanted to major in theater, but I went and met the staff there and the professors and some of the students. And I was like, this is where I want to go. And I went to other theater programs that were like, quote unquote, more concentrated in stage management, but I just didn't like them. So I went where I felt most comfortable. So that's where I went. And then I did an internship at the Weston Playhouse while I was in college.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. And that really it was really hard. And you work like 8 a.m. to midnight every day. And my title was production/stage management intern. And whenever there's a slash on your title, that means you like do everything. Basically. Yeah. I was doing like overnight paint calls. It was like horrendous sometimes, but I love that place and I love those people. And that's when I was this is what I want to do. Like, this is, I feel like this is where I can make a living doing it, and I really love doing it. So that was the thing, and that was before my junior year. That was the thing.
So,
this is what I love to do.
So here's the question that I have no idea the answer to, so I'm excited to hear the answer. Because I know for an actor, like, you go to college and then you have a showcase. So if you can land an agent that way, that's good. But there are many kind of paths to working. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I didn't get an agent from my showcase. I'll go to open calls. Oh, this casting director likes me. They keep calling me in. Then I got a job. Now I'm in a show. An agent saw me in the show. Now I have an agent. Now I get auditions. Like, there's so many ways, you know?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I know.
How the heck do you get a job? Do you just go from Broadway stage door to Broadway stage door and drop off your resume and say, could you give this to the PSN?
I know there are friends.
I mean, like, what the heck do you do?
For me, I am very.
Are there stage manager parties or like mixers? No. Like, come to the stage manager mixer. We're gonna spike the cocktail table. What do you do?
There might be.
You haven't been a part of any of them.
I've never been to a stage manager mixer. No, I have not.
I just wonder, like, what the heck do you do?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
So for me, I at that internship ended up meeting the person who sort of gave me an opportunity to apply to tour. Her name's Kelsey Tippins. She's a Broadway or an equity stage manager now. She does tours as well. And I met her that summer. And when I was graduating, she was basically like, "Hey, I have an assistant position. Would you like to apply?" And I said yes, and it worked out. And I've been working for them since then. So the internship is huge for me. Like that's where you meet people, and that's where, and if it wasn't touring, it could have been something else. And that's where you meet professional stage managers.
And what tour was that? What was your first
That was
job?
Beauty and the Beast.
And that was touring in Asia, right?
No, that one was here. And then eventually last year I went to Shanghai to help teach Beauty and the Beast. So that was pretty cool, like full circle moment for me, because we did Beauty and the Beast I did that for 2 years. I did the first year as an ASM and then took over as a PSM for the second year. Wow. Yeah. And then it was just before I joined Les Mis, I went to Shanghai and they were doing, they put Beauty and the Beast in the Walt Disney Grand, which is the actual Broadway theater on the Disney Shanghai campus. It's the only one,
right.
So basically they brought us in to teach the show and it was in Mandarin. So I got to teach someone how to call the show in Mandarin. It was crazy, but it was really cool.
When you got on your first tour, was there a lot of things that you didn't know yet?
Oh, I didn't know anything. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. That first year of tour was so hard because you learn stage management and you learn like, okay, you spike the floor, you write the blocking down, you do this, but you don't learn how to tour in any way. And there's like a sense of I've never met a touring stage manager before I met Kelsey. I had no idea, but I was like, yeah, that's fun. That's a job. I would love to do that. It's a 9-month contract to start. It was at the time, and that was huge for me because that's like.
And also, managing touring actors is different than managing those at the Weston Playhouse who are just summertime, and you know what I mean. We're having, and it's like a touring actor has a different sensibility because they're exhausted all the time and they're dealing with challenges that people that are in one place don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
So
and when you're on tour, you're maintaining the show. You're trying to make it exactly the same everywhere you go. When you're at a regional theater, I mean, in that one season, we did 7 shows. So it's a whole different, you're in rehearsal. And this is just, it seems like it's easier, but it has its own set of challenges for sure.
How did The Sound of Music come to you? Because that's how you would connect to Les Mis.
Yeah, so The Sound of Music was going out on, it was a union tour to start with, and it became a non-union tour, which is a thing that happens. And I was still a non-union stage manager. So I actually got to take that and do that first smaller version of the show, which was pretty cool because we got to like create that version. And in doing that, I got there just from working for networks. It was a network show. And I had been on once the musical prior, so it was coming up for the next season, and they sort of said, would you like to do this? And I said, yes. So that was super fun. And then Sound of Music brought me to Jack McLeod, who is our PSM, and then that's how I got to Les Mis.
And when you joined Les Mis, you replaced a stage manager who was leaving.
Yeah.
And so were there a lot of things? What was the thing about Les Mis that you could look back on now when you learned it and went like, wow, I was surprised about that? I was surprised. Was there anything about Les Mis being a stage manager in the show of Les Mis that's kind of surprised you? You're like, wow, I never figured.
So I watched the show in Vancouver my first night, and then I watched it from the front, and it's beautiful. And then I got backstage the second night and was training on the deck track, which is the stage managers who take care of all the scenery and safety and all that kind of stuff. It surprises me how many stagehands are on stage during the show. Like at the beginning of the show, they push, like how many pieces are physically pushed without automation. Because you're standing there and you're like, and I really did, like I had absolutely no idea watching the show from the front, how many like people like sneak on and do a costume change or like behind the barricade. You've seen Behind the Barricade. I'm giving away.
Okay. I've been in the show for like 9 months before we're on pause, right?
Yeah.
And I would say, like, we went on to a pause in March, and I would say in January, I was coming off from the rowing scene.
Yeah.
The opening scene. And I'm coming off, and I see a man there that's not in a costume. He's in a black T-shirt, and he's pushing some. That's the first time I even ever saw this person. I didn't know there was a man.
It probably took me like a week to realize that they were back there because they have nothing to do with me, but it happens throughout the whole show, and that's like always my little tidbit to like students who come and see us or shadows. I'm like, there's 4 humans back there right now.
It's very interesting to watch all of a sudden all these people that are moving around in the shadows that I had no idea were even there. It's crazy.
It happens the whole show.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
This is a very involved question, so I'm glad I'm asking it now. This is from the real Entourage.
Oh.
Jess, can you walk us through a typical day as a stage manager? What are your responsibilities other than calling the show? Real Entourage, how much time do you have? I mean, I've seen this woman at a coffee shop at 10:30 in the morning. And she's like, blah, blah's out. Blah, blah. We're doing a split track. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually
so tell us, give us a little bit of like an abbreviated version of what, sorry, the dog is playing with her Kong.
Edie.
She's fine, but she's annoying me. She's playing with this. There's a treat inside and it's annoying.
You gotta get it out.
Go lay down. Anyway.
Yeah, a typical day. So starting with a load-in day, we go in on Tuesday. So load-in is putting the show into the theater. The crew starts that on Monday. Usually Jack's there too. And then on Tuesday, we go in about 9 a.m. for a 7 o'clock show. And when we get to a new city, we set up all the signs, all the dressing rooms, make sure everything's where it needs to be. We do the lighting focus, which is pointing all the lights where they need to go. Each of us does a portion of that, which is one of my favorite parts of load-in.
Now, and then that to me is crazy.
Is it? That's crazy.
I want to talk about the lighting for a second for me.
Yes.
That is insane. I don't understand how that happens once a week. Truly. Yeah. Because the lighting in our show is like the star, one of the stars of our show. I think.
It is.
It is incredible. There are times when I would look at the show and it looks like a painting. Like it's stunning.
It's
but
really
what
cool.
if you don't? What if you forget to do a lot? I mean, it's so intricate and it's so precise to think that you and your team and our lighting team, and I guess local people from each theater, focus those lights every single Tuesday.
So my focus.
How long does that take?
The lighting team, Dave and Mary and Johnny, work the whole time, which is like 20 hours. Jack starts with conventional focus. So he does all of the lights that are plugged in the front of the house. So he stands on stage with a clipboard and says, point the light at me. I come in next. Mine takes about Jack's takes like 45 minutes. Mine takes about 2 hours. And I work with a totally local crew and a genie lift, which brings the guy up and down. So mine is different every week just because the skill of the person doing it versus some local rules change it. But we point, every single light comes in on a truss and we point it where it needs to go. We take shutter cuts, make sure it's all in the right place. And then there's lights on the floor as well. We call them rovers, which you guys have to deal with a little bit. So they move in and out. So we put them where they need to go. And then Joe comes in and his takes, they're very, very fast. At this point, but Joe's probably is like an hour and a half, and Joe stands exactly where the actor stands, and Dave, our head electrician, points the moving lights at him. So they'll come out and they'll build part of the barricade and they'll shoot all the lights at it.
I mean,
and then it's time to go to lunch. That's what
I want nothing to do with that. Like that to me sounds, but that, although I want nothing to do with that, that is to me one of the most important things about our production because it is so gorgeous to look at.
It's beautiful.
How is it as a woman, because I know there are a lot of women who want to get into stage management, young women. It sounds like to me you had a female mentor, which is incredible. What is it like to have to be in charge of a crew of dudes?
You know, I've been very lucky to have lots of crews of mostly dudes who are very supportive and listen and are great. I would say the harder part of being is just being underestimated when you walk in a room when it comes to like smaller cities. I've truly never had a problem with a road crew or in our offices, you know, the normal things that you dealing with coworkers. But sometimes you walk into like smaller cities that are not quite as up, and they don't expect a woman to be in charge. That can be frustrating. I found that harder to deal with when I was young, like when I was 21 and a touring stage manager. Now it's like easier. I just don't take people's nonsense anymore. But it can be challenging for sure. Yeah. You just have to
Do you have to learn in a way to kind of keep your emotions out of the picture?
A little bit, for sure. I also learned just not to take it personally. If somebody has a problem with listening to a woman, that's on them. That's not on you. If you are, and unfortunately, it's still the case in for a lot of people. But if you are confident in what you're doing and you know what you're doing, then if you command that sort of respect, I find that people tend to listen to you. Yeah, it's, I don't love when people like walk in and they say, "Hey, sweetheart," like it's not the best, it just puts me in a bad mood, but we still do what we have to do,
And let me ask you one more question.
Yes.
I want to know what advice would you give to a young woman who's maybe watching this, or a young woman who wants to become a stage manager for theater, musical theater plays? What is the biggest advice? Would it be find that person to mentor you, go and intern? What would be your advice?
In terms of like actual things to do, get an internship, meet people. You have to, I think you have to know what kind of work you want to be in. There's lots of different types of stage management. And then you have to find people who do that and figure out how they got there. And it seems very simple, but you have to like work really hard. And also a lot of it becomes not about your skill, but about how you work with people. And I think that's really important to remember, because that's basically what our job is dealing with people all the time. But internships are huge just because you meet lots of people who are already in the field and can say, and then when you send your resume in, you already know someone who can speak for you, which is important.
Yes.
And
let me ask you one more question.
All the questions. Go for it.
Where do you see yourself in like 20 or 30 years? Like what do you think is like the long game for someone like yourself who's a stage manager?
I don't
know. I mean, obviously you want to become a PSM. Do you see yourself becoming one of those kind of like Broadway famous PSMs?
I mean, who wouldn't want to be a Broadway famous PSM? I mean, I would be absolutely thrilled and happy to go work on Broadway, but I don't think it's the end all. And I think I will, and I'll keep, eventually. But also, I don't know. I don't know that I'll be touring forever. That's for sure. It's been 6 years, and it's getting to the point where it's like, maybe I want my own place or somewhere to like settle down. I hate that term, but
plant some roots.
So I mean, I would love to be on Broadway. It'd be great to be long term, but things come and go. I wouldn't mind eventually getting my master's in teaching again, and teaching college or teaching theater would be fun. But yeah,
you'd be really good at that.
Thank you.
Well, any Broadway show would be lucky to have you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And I'm so happy that you did this with me today. I'm so happy that you made the StreamYard happen, because look how beautiful it was.
Just a little moment.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Yes, we did good.
It was great.
Had some good comments. We
had some good comments. I think people watched.
There we go.
See? People are commenting. Oh my gosh, you sound like a robot from another planet right now. Something's happened with your audio and video.
Oh no.
It's so interesting. The minute I talk about how wonderful it is, she freezes. It's so funny. Earlier I said how wonderful she was, and then Phoenix didn't arrive on time. Andrew Ross has commented. A walking dragon has commented. A lot of people commented. But I think you're frozen.
No.
So Jess, you're frozen. You're frozen. Oh, there I am by myself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Next week, I'm again so excited. It's going to be Wives Week. Michelle Dowdy, my current Madame Thénardier, Allison Gwynn, the original touring, my ex-wife Thénardier. Let's find out what they really think about me, shall we? We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget next week. Bye.